all these parameters will much helpful to train the students how to answer for certain questions in a question paper. The first of all that I will list out the certain things that we have to train our students to follow. The first one is the time management for a paper. Time management. First one is the time management. Then the second, the presentation. When in the paper that we have to teach them the presentation, the way of presenting. Presentation. Presentation. Next, that is much important, but our students, most of the students are poor to produce a rich content. Next, the content. Content. And the last one is the layout. The layout is the last one. Layout. That all those things that we have to think that when we train our students to answer for a question paper. Because at the brink of the examination, therefore that I just got this to explain. Then referring to the time management, what are the things that we should give much prominence to promote our students? That I will list out, just erasing this part. Practice, that we have to practice to read questions. To read question. Practice to read question. How long? About 10 minutes. About 10 minutes. About 10 minutes that they practice, that we want to practice them to read questions, the relevant questions, at least 10 minutes. The source that was taken by me from a book that we have to practice according to this methodology. The 10 minutes normal students must read the question. Then they have to answer for easier questions first. Answer for easier, that I shall write there in short form, cues first. Cues first. For the easier cues that they answer first. Then get back the difficult questions, the later that they can get difficult questions. Hard points, get hard ones, hard cues later. Get hard cues later. Next, the last one is that we ask them to answer for all the questions, even on the paper also, that we can see that it has been asked to answer for all the questions given there. Then it is very important, don't leave out any question. Don't leave out any question. Don't leave out any cues. Don't leave out any cues. These are the mainly that we have to, there are important 4 factors that we must train them under the time management. The time management is much important, the basic need, and then all these things that we have to follow. Then the second one is the presentation. Let's see that how to practice them to present their facts. The presentation. is like this. The second one is presentation. Presentation. It means the first, there are that four factors that we can, the first that we can take, the need test. The first one is, the first factor is under the presentation, need test. Need test. What do you mean by need test? If they write neatly, they get better marks. If they write neatly something, that they can get better marks. If they write neatly, they can get better marks. The neatness also a part of writing. Then just that we see the accuracy of the words, only that. Later that we discuss all those things, and then that we speak of the neatness. Next, legible. All those related to the handwritings. The second one, the legible. Legible. Legible handwritings. Legible means the readable, the legibility. The examiner must be able to read the answer very clearly. Good handwritings must be clear to the checker. Good handwritings, it means good handwritings. Clear handwritings. Clear handwritings. All those things that throughout our lessons that we should pay much attention to give to our students. Next, use of highlights. Third one is use of highlights. Use of highlights. Then especially in the Sinhala papers that we can see, then there are that many occasions to highlight their answers. But English, that you underline and fill in gaps frequently, this not the rarely, not the almost that you face to this situation, but especially in the writing questions, short and the critical writing, especially in the critical writing, that we can underline the matters with a great importance. The important facts that you can underline, important points or numbering. Underline that the use of highlights means underline important points in writing. Underline important points. Next one, that we can write, that when we list out something, that we can number them. Numbering. Next, numbering. We must teach them to number. A number, or then using asterisk marks that someone can write, but I think the numbering is much clearer than use of asterisk marks. Then, try to give answers in points rather than giving long paragraphs. They are the point form that I disagree with this, because rather than giving long paragraphs means the long paragraphs are necessary. But always in our papers that we can write in point form. Just in as short text that we have to write. Therefore, the frequently that we can't say that we must use listing out methods. They are just that we can write, prevent from long paragraphs. Prevent from long paragraphs. Prevent from long paragraphs means that we have to divide into paragraphs. Divide into paragraphs, and then that we have been asked to define exact limits within 50 words, 40 words, 100 words, like that. That we need not to write exceeding the word limit. Although in some of the answer papers I also wrote exceeding the word limit for the purpose of teaching only. But in the examination, especially, the student must be able to write within the given word limit. Within the given word limit, otherwise that they waste time in vain. The presentation is okay. Now the content wise shall we discuss about the content. The content it is much important, and most of our students are poor in writing content. The content is the next part. Here the content means the first factor is the precisely as the summarizingly, that we must write something, not over exaggerating. The precise. The precise again, that I will read for you. Don't beat about the bush. That must be a good phrase. Don't beat about the bush. Don't beat about the bush. We should not write unnecessary details, the repetitions, so exaggerating things that we need not to write to the given topic, that we present our facts only. Out of the topics, it is unnecessary to write, and then don't beat about the bush. It must be given reference to the text. Given reference to the text. They are given reference to the text. If we have been provided a topic to write or certain part of a paragraph, that we have to prolong or continue the rest of the paragraph following the certain expected rules only. Out of the rules, although that we know the language, or then that we need not to continue out of the topic. Otherwise, that some, I think the not teachers, especially students, that they just think that if we write something, then they will give us marks. But it is a matter of the content. Out of the content, sometimes that must be 0 marks. Therefore, that be careful. The grammatical accuracy alone is not enough to maintain the answer. They are referred to the text in support of your answer, means it is correct. Now, give your own ideas to support the answer. Next step, we can write, give your own answer. Give your own answer related to the topic. Related to the topic. If we speak of the conservation of the environment, the protection of the environment, that your own ideas, not the scientific approach, then that our own ideas related to the topic can be given. Related to the topic. Then that your own ideas, that you must not think the universal things or any other definitions, and need not to hesitate about it, just thinking and spending the time in the examination. Then all those that your reasonable viewpoints can be included there. I give you one ideas to support the answer. Now facts, the certain facts. Facts can be given. The certain records related to the topic, the certain records, sometimes the universal records that if you know, not that your own ideas, not your own ideas, the common topics, that common ideas, not the topics, common ideas related to your topic. Sometimes that must be the religious, political or economical, or any other related to the general knowledge. Then facts can be given, the certain facts, that it will be add on your writing, right? Then it must be a very it must be an excellent attempt. It will be an excellent attempt to complete the answer for the question, because the reader will satisfy of the content well, because the facts also, that facts had been included there. It's also a good approach. Then word limit, that always the teachers mention to their students, word limit. The previously also that I mentioned there, word limit. Write within the given word limit. Write within the given range of words. Write within the given range of words. Out of this range, it is needless. Sometimes it has been asked to write a single paragraph, but the students write 2 paragraphs. First paragraph will be marked only. In A-level examination, that if the paper asks to write a single paragraph, but the students that they have written number of paragraphs, the marks will be given only for the first paragraph, not for the rest of second, third or so on. Then it is very important to make them follow the given word limit only. Exceeding that word limit, it will be a disadvantage to the writers or the candidates. Then this is the word limit, it is okay now. Then other one is much useful. That's also that now shall I remove all those things, and again that I will write this one. The grammar. Under the content, again the grammar. Grammar also much important. Without grammar, it is very difficult to understand that what you mention or that what you want to mean. Then the grammar. Grammar there, according to the writer, it must be changed. Because some students that they write very simple grammar, but all the sentences are correct and can be given marks. But you can't give up that they have written simple sentences and then that we can't offer marks. But there are certain limitations to reject the certain grammar points. But here the grammar is essential. There are good vocabulary. There are also that good vocabulary. We mean good vocabulary. But the simple words can be accepted. Good vocabulary means they should have their vocabulary according to their grade, the standard. That when we think of grade 11, they should have such a vocabulary to going with grade 11 student. If that is then advanced level students, they should have such a vocabulary. Even for the prevent final, they must have a vocabulary related to the grade 5. Otherwise, always that they can't write using more simple words or the things. Then good expressions. Good expressions. good expressions. The grammatically also, if someone is successful in grammar, that they can make good expressions. The good expressions means another thing. Then you can practice them in the classroom. Giving a list of good expressions means the certain expressions can be given as a list when we before that we teach to write a letter. Then first of all, that we can give them the certain expressions that we must use according to the situation. Afterwards, that they will learn and they can write in the real situation also. I think that must be the very practical thing that you several times in the seminars that I have heard to speak with our students. Then all those things that we can apply. Good vocabulary under the grammar. Good vocabulary. Good vocabulary is an essential part of writing. Without vocabulary, that we can't measure their fluency in words. Other one is good expressions. Good expressions must be used, but not in the same way that almost that we see, especially in the personal letters. How are you? All are very outdated expressions, and it doesn't matter although that any other students wrote there, because that you will have to give the marks, but not the modern language. There are that so many ways to start a letter rather than and typical words. Then sentence structure. Sentence structure. Next one is sentence structure. Sentence structure means the basic structures, complex structures. There are different kind of structures that we can teach them to write. They are grammatically correct, but all those things must be correct in grammar. But so far that you may have taught them the different structures for their papers. Then therefore that improve them during this time, this short time. Ask them to revise those grammatical structures, the sentence structures, and to adjust to the paper. Now under the content it is okay. Now that we have the layout. Layout means format and layout of language. That's also an important part. The fourth part, format and layout of language. Layout of language. Format and layout of language. Then it is not peculiar. Then that we speak more simple things, very simple things. Then spellings first. Spellings. That when we just think of the frequency of making errors in spellings, but we can say the most of the occasion that both the teachers also same, the students also make many mistakes in writing, because that is quite natural that we forget the spellings of many words. It is natural, especially for the examinations. Students also get the excitement that they also forget to write the certain words correctly, and all those things can be seen. The spellings must be enhanced correctly. It must be an inspiration to the marker. It will be correct spellings must be an inspiration to the marker. Other one is the punctuations. The punctuations. All the punctuations must be written clearly and accurately, because all the students should know the punctuations and their use. Without knowing the use of punctuations, it is very difficult to follow it, especially for an answer sheet. Almost in all occasions, the weak students make mistakes, especially in the spellings and punctuations. Spontaneously, that they must be able to adjust by themselves if you give such sort of exercises several times to improve their level of format and layout of language. Then taking all these things, that we can find just a good finish the way of their answering. But step by step that you try to give them during this short time, just discuss with them the certain hard points, especially for the examination. Again, that then taking all these things, I think you will be able to do something for the betterment of all those students.